Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel for another Sundance 2022 interview. I've got the team behind Duel with me. Hello. Congratulations. This was one heck of a ride.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're pretty proud.
So with a festival movie, I must start here. Riley, can you give us a synopsis of Duel for the folks out there who are not aware of your movie just yet?
Yeah, surprisingly, I'm not good at talking about this movie yet, but I'll try my best. It's a Duel follows Sarah, who finds out she's dying from a terminal disease. And in this alternate sort of reality, she's able to have herself cloned so that her family doesn't have to miss her. But after a year or so of her living with this clone and the clone learning how to be her and then kind of evolving into her own person, she goes into remission. And in this arbitrary sort of way, there can't be two of you existing at the same time. So she has to duel her clone to the death to figure out who continues to be Sarah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if you've heard this already, but the movie obviously gives me Black Mirror vibes. And basically we've hit a point where literally any story with a futuristic technology is compared to Black Mirror. So I don't know if you dealt with this in the pitching stage, but I wonder if a comparison like that can help you and help someone understand and get behind your vision, or if that kind of situation is more like, if it's more beneficial to be like, no, this is my own thing that's completely different.
I think I'm pretty fortunate in that I've been able to, this is my third feature, so I've got sort of a track record, and people can go back and watch Faults or The Art of Self-Defense and see that maybe if something on paper reads a certain way, they know that there might be a little twist on that or that subversion on that expectation of what that plot would give you. So XYZ, who ended up making the movie, were pretty great. Read it, said, we want to do this and we love your stuff, and like, let's just make your movie, as opposed to some of the people that I met with before who were either not able to totally jive with it or wanted to make a lot of changes to where it went. So it was kind of a match made in heaven. I didn't really have to pull XYZ around or ask them too much. They kind of just let me do what I wanted to do.
Just because now it's making me curious, are you allowed to share anything about where, another individual wanted it to go instead of what we get?
I mean, without saying too much about the plot, maybe not, but like just little suggestions that would be thrown into the conversation. Like, oh yeah, and then that, like, this could happen. And then me on the phone being like, I'm never going to do that. So I'm just not going to, I'm going to act like I just didn't hear what they said and continue to keep talking.
That's always a good.
And
wait, that's such a funny response to that.
I'll also tell you exactly what that was after this.
I'm going to get the juice.
but no, it's nothing against other producers. It's just that if I'm going to make something that I want to make, like I know what I want it to be already. And the fact that the producers who ended up making the film saw eye to eye with me, we didn't have to butt heads on literally anything. It was the easiest working relationship ever. And they watched the movie, gave me 3 notes, and I took one of them, and then the movie's the movie.
I love hearing that you stuck to your vision. I can't imagine this playing out any other way.
Oh, thank you.
For all of you now. Yet another thing I'm sure you're going to hear a lot. But, I do love movies that make me consider what I would do in a particular situation. And, it's a little morbid here, but if this technology did exist, would you actually use it?
God, would I mean, because it's creepy. Like, think about that reality for a second.
Yeah.
Like, you have another version of yourself that's like a little bit off and maybe glitchy walking around after you're dead. Like,
Yeah.
We're not doing that, right? Are we?
I think if you watch the infomercial that's in the movie that sells you on the idea of it, I don't think you're going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody would.
I don't know.
I would use it as a prank for when I'm dead, and it would make an appearance at my funeral, but then it would need to shut down and power down and never come to life again.
Yeah, I would leave it up to my wife and kids. I think, if they're like, if they wanted a copy of me, okay, that's their decision. I wouldn't want one.
You wouldn't want a copy of yourself.
Beulah's got 2 clones.
I don't know. I'd make like a hangover one. Like, when I'm hungover and not a great like husband or father, I was just like, I pull out the Beulah Point 2 out the closet and be like, all right, I'll turn you on now.
Which one of your boys
I
is
feel like Beulah just got the right answer. That's what these should be used for.
Hangovers.
Yeah.
Just the hangovers.
Yeah. Okay. I want to change my answer.
Yeah.
Wait, Riley, thinking about that. So the movie doesn't necessarily need this, but when I get obsessed with a concept, I want to know everything about it. Did you ever work out how the world, just in general, felt about this technology existing? If it was something that if you chose to use it, like it was okay and just the norm, or if it was frowned upon?
I think it's the norm, but obviously it's cost prohibitive, so not everyone goes that route. But they're able to sell people on it because of the way that they structure the payments. I think it's just like accepted. And I had this, I wrote like a short story version of this film before I wrote the feature. And I got halfway through it, which is like 20 pages, and didn't end up finishing it. But it was really cool to go through it, the process that way, which I'd never done before, because I filled in, because it's prose, you get to have more fun filling in all these gaps and talking about the history of things. So I had this like alternate timeline history that it was developed during the Cold War to like increase the amount of our people in our military as like a buildup. And then they ended up just like getting rid of, making it to where you could only use it for these medical situations. And I love that the movie doesn't talk about any of it. Like, I love that it any other movie would explain everything too much or have to, because like of the world that you're in. Whereas in our kind of tone and the setting of the movie and the way that it feels, you can just say it is, and then it is. And that was more fun for me.
This goes against everything you just said, but with that description, I kind of want a whole series or like even an anthology with this concept where you get to see how different people react to using it.
Yeah, we definitely, there was a producer that asked like a year or two ago, like what the Duel TV show would be like. And like you could do an anthology sort of thing like this. But I also like that when I make something, it kind of just gets to be, and then you can move on to the next thing. And I like that Duel's just Duel.
It's fair enough. I'm greedy when I find something that I like, though. So, Karen, a very unique opportunity for you here.
Yes,
I was wondering if there's anything you discovered about your own craft being in a scene with yourself. And I guess, you know, essentially being your own scene partner in a sense.
Gosh, that was a very unique situation that I have done 3 times in 3 different movies. Like, is that my typecasting? Oh, she's the girl that acts opposite herself.
Yeah. I only found that out after the fact, too.
Yeah, that's so funny. I guess because I work in, like, time travel things or sci-fi, I've met myself along the way. It's always really strange. It's always slightly off because normally you're so used to reacting off of the other actor. And I was doing that with the wonderful actress that we had, Katerina. But then at the same time, I'm still plotting what I'm going to do with it when I'm filming my coverage. And then I'm trying to react off of what I'm imagining myself doing in the future. And it became really strange and trippy.
Wow.
Riley, I also wanted to ask you a little bit about the tone that you ran with on this, which is very, very specific. Why did this particular story necessitate that kind of dark comedy tinge?
Well, it's not that the story necessitates it. It's that I kind of can't not do it myself. So I've always said that, like the first short that I ever made that I don't have online anymore because I don't like it. I don't like it because it's not me. It has no sense of humor. I was trying to play everything straight, and it felt disingenuous. It felt like I was trying to do something that just didn't, I don't know, work with the way that I think. And so going forward, I kind of vowed to myself that I was only going to ever make things that felt like me, and that tends to be the starkly comedic space. And I felt like you've seen, going back to like there are shows that are like this sort of theme, or we've seen clone movies before, or Swan Song came out last year with similar sort of start of a premise. I like that the tone is what makes ours different. And I feel like it's what makes it worth watching and exploring, even though you may have seen something along these lines before. You're not going to see where it goes, and you're not going to expect how it feels.
Mm-hmm. I like that you stick to it. It's why I keep coming back to your movies. They're so specifically you.
Yeah.
I mean it.
I appreciate it.
I don't want to get into any spoilers, but this scene feels kind of safe to talk about. So Karen and Beulah, one moment that sticks out in my mind is when they have the conversation about Sarah's condition being terminal. And, you know, I'm watching a scene like that and I'm thinking that if I were one of you, every bone in my body would be saying, go so big emotionally here. So what was it like conveying that information in a way that matters, but also making sure that it matched that tone that Riley just described?
I think there's a genius of Riley, like, because I came in going, man, I'm going to try some acting stuff. And Riley was just like, nah, just say the words how they are. And it was so like tough. Me as a like, it was such a challenge because I didn't know. I told Riley, like, I'm not good at comedy. I'm scared of comedy. I'm scared of everything. But can you just like, I'm going to trust that what you're telling me is true. And it was like, he just said, just say the line, B, you're enough. Just like how he makes his film. He's just like, he's enough. There's no extra thing needed. He just does it the way he would do it. And he just said, just say the words like you would say it in an American accent.
And that was definitely a tricky scene for me as a director too, because like you said, you're conveying this information to somebody that they're dying. And I wanted the movie, despite the tone and the stylization of the delivery, to still feel grounded and still feel relatable, which is a very hard tightrope to walk. And that scene particularly could go melodramatic very easily, or super dramatic, and not either of those versions don't necessarily fit in the world of this movie. And to Beulah's credit, he just kind of like, we went through it a few times in his living room, in his apartment that he was staying in Finland. And we shot it on an iPhone and kind of just did it a few times and felt it out. And the last one was this one where he just kind of like released it a bit and kind of just said it to her and was just, I'm going to give you this information, as if he's telling her about his day. And that's the scene that ended up, or the take that ended up in the movie. And it's one that I love.
That is actually one of the hardest things, is to just talk in a matter-of-fact way. And I feel like I'm a performer who almost hides behind emotion. I'm kind of like, oh yeah, it's easier if I'm like crying or something to grab onto. But to simply talk is one of the more exposing ways to act. And that's why this was such an amazing challenge as a movie.
Job very well done in that respect. Aaron, let's talk Trent now. Again, backstory obsessed. Did you ever work out how he became an expert in training people for duels?
He's just, I had, many conversations with Riley. That is just his world. He pretty much lives at his gym. Riley's like, just imagine him, just his mattresses.
We had a couch in the back that you never really see, but it's there.
Yeah.
That we assumed he probably just sleeps on.
Yeah, he just sleeps on. And, he obviously takes it very seriously. And, so yeah, it's a huge responsibility to take on, because he's training someone. It's a life and death sort of situation, and thank you. I'm like, yeah. So it's just it's a life and death situation, and so he's very proud of that. But yeah, he lives and breathes it, and so yeah.
Are there any fun little Easter eggs in addition to the couch on that set? Like random weapons on the wall or something like that people should look out for?
Yeah, there was a lot.
There was a lot of stuff.
Axe on the wall or something?
There were so many weapons on the wall. There was one Easter egg that didn't make it on camera. So there's the fake movie that we have in the movie that she watches, and Trent had a stack of all his burned DVDs. They're all burned. Like he ripped them from probably Kazaa or something like that. Like whatever the version of that was in this world. And I think I made up a bunch of fake movie titles, and then I put Mandy 2. So my friend Panos and Aaron Stewart-On's movie would live in the world in some way, but it never made it on camera. So Mandy 2, I'll have to use that at some point. Oh, yeah.
That makes me incredibly happy. I love Mandy. I have to let you guys go, but before, I'm going to put out a request that you should release the clip of your dance scene. And you should get people to recreate the dance on TikTok.
Ooh.
Yeah, once it's like lived a
I
little
could
bit
have
of a life.
watched like hours of you two training to dance.
That dance scene was so funny because our instructor, who is teaching us the dance, couldn't stop herself from laughing at us.
At them.
Like, ha!
Like at us, because she's like, well, it's funny because you're trying.
And it's
Yeah, she was like,
yeah,
it's so funny when you concentrate so hard.
Like, yeah, we're trying to take ourselves seriously here. But yeah,
the Finns are very particular people, and we love them.
Love them so much. She's actually, to be honest, she's the best. She's the best. She's so
Needed
fun.
to be laughed at.
Yeah,
That was the truth.
I enjoyed being laughed at. Yeah.
All right, I gotta let you guys go. You have a busy day. You're celebrating today. I gotta circle back, so eventually we could talk spoilers at a point. But congratulations, everybody out there. Keep an eye out for Duel.
Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you,
so
Perry.
much. Bye.
Bye.